The city buzzed with activity. In the heart of it all, a blonde woman, tall and confident, walked through the streets, dressed in a perfectly tailored outfit. Her designer heels clicked rhythmically against the pavement as she navigated the chaotic urban landscape. Her attention, however, wasn't on the bustling city around her. It was on the screen of her phone, her fingers rapidly scrolling through endless social media posts and text messages. Despite the lavish lifestyle she had built for herself, there was a hollow emptiness inside. The apartment she lived in, the designer wardrobe, the expensive dinners, all of it, felt like a mask she had to wear to hide her dissatisfaction. She smiled for the cameras, attended the right events, and rubbed elbows with the most influential people in the city. But no one seemed to notice the discontent behind her perfectly made-up face. As she passed by a neon-lit sign that caught her attention, she stopped dead in her tracks. The sign blinked brightly in the dark. Rent a boyfriend. Experience luxury for $5. The absurdity of the offer made her laugh to herself, but she couldn't shake the curiosity that lingered. After all, what was $5? Just a casual purchase? In the sea of her expenses, she tapped the link without hesitation, her finger hovering for a moment before she confirmed the transaction. Before she could even think twice, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The door swung open smoothly. The man who stepped out was everything she expected him to be: all, handsome, impeccably dressed, with a cool, confident air. He was the kind of man she'd always been attracted to, the kind who fit seamlessly into her world. But there was something different about him, a kind of quiet sadness in his eyes that seemed to speak of a hidden depth. Her heart skipped a beat, but she quickly dismissed it. After all, this was just a transaction. This wasn't real. She was in control. She slid into the car with a smile, trying to push away the strange feeling that formed in her gut. The luxurious restaurant they arrived at was everything she had hoped for: a lavish space with polished floors, high ceilings, and an aura of exclusivity. The lights were dim, casting a soft glow on everything, creating a sense of intimacy. The woman settled into her seat at the table, scanning the menu as if it were just another night in her life. The man sat across from her, his demeanor composed, his smile genuine, but something in his eyes seemed to linger on her, an almost tender gaze, as if he had known her forever. His words were smooth, his tone calm and collected. He spoke with an ease that was at once charming and unsettling. There was no trace of the awkwardness that she might expect from someone in this situation. But still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. They ordered. As they waited for the food to arrive, she found herself unable to stop analyzing him. He had the look of someone who belonged to a world far removed from her own. His suit was exquisite, his watch expensive, but there was no arrogance in the way he carried himself. In fact, it was the opposite. He exuded a quiet confidence that drew her in. As the conversation flowed, she couldn't help but notice the way he spoke about his life. There was no braggadocio, no need to show off the wealth that oozed from every inch of his being. Instead, he talked about travel, about books, about ideas. He asked questions, listened attentively, seemed genuinely interested in her answers. For a moment, she allowed herself to relax, even enjoy the evening. The food arrived, exquisitely plated, and they ate together, exchanging stories and laughter. Everything about this night felt surreal, a fairy tale played out for $5. But deep down, she knew it was all temporary. As the night wore on, the lights dimmed further, and the restaurant's atmosphere became even more intimate. She felt the growing weight of her own emptiness pressing against her chest. But she couldn't admit it, not even to herself.
Ow.
She smiled and laughed again, savoring the moment. But as she looked up at him, something inside her stirred a whisper. In her mind, that told her she had seen this man before. A fleeting memory brushed against her consciousness, but it was gone before she could hold on to it. She brushed it off, too focused on enjoying the lavishness of the night to dwell on it. The screen flickered, and the scene changed. The blonde girl was no longer in the restaurant, surrounded by fine dining and luxury. She was in a college dorm room, the air thick with the energy of youth and ambition. Music blared in the background, and laughter echoed through the walls. The room was filled with the kinds of people she had surrounded herself with: rich, popular and utterly oblivious to anyone who wasn't in their immediate circle. She walked into the room with a glass, a punch in her hand, scanning the crowd with an air of confidence. It wasn't long before a man caught her eye. He was standing off to the side, awkwardly clutching a drink, his clothes a bit too casual for the occasion. His messy hair and shy smile contrasted sharply with the polished, arrogant faces of the others in the room. He stepped forward, nervously offering her a drink. She glanced at him, dismissing him with a quick once-over, her lips curling into a smirk. She turned away without saying a word, walking past him as if he hadn't existed. Her friends snickered, and they all laughed at the awkward man who had dared to approach her. The man stood there alone, his face falling as he watched her walk away. He wasn't part of her world, and she made sure he knew it. In that moment, the woman had no idea how much he had hoped for a different outcome, how much he had wished for a chance to be seen by someone like her. The memory faded, and the scene shifted back to the present. The blonde girl's heart raced. As she sat in the restaurant, looking across at the man she had rented for the night, she couldn't quite place it, but something about him felt ... familiar. There was something about the way his eyes locked onto hers. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. The man she had rejected years ago, the one she had so easily dismissed, was sitting across from her, not as a desperate college student, but as a self-assured, successful billionaire. And she hadn't even recognized him until now. The storm outside had intensified, the rain falling harder now, as if echoing the turmoil building inside her. The woman excused herself from the table, her mind swirling with disbelief. She needed air. She needed time to process everything. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble floor as she made her way to the bathroom, her thoughts a blur. Inside, she stood before the mirror, trying to make sense of it all. Her reflection stared back at her, the face of someone who had everything, yet felt empty. She ran her fingers through her blonde hair, the weight of the night pressing down on her. And then her phone buzzed. It was a notification from the Rent a Boyfriend app. She unlocked it, and for the first time, the app's profile photo. It wasn't a generic picture. It was a photo of the man she had rented, a photo of Liam, the man she had once rejected. The caption under the photo read, "Liam, the rejected millionaire." Her heart stopped. She hurried back to the table, her mind racing with the revelation. But when she returned, he was gone. In his place was a note, a small piece of paper with a single line written in elegant handwriting. "I was once the man. You rejected, but I am no longer that man. You have the chance to make amends." The words stung, and her hands trembled as she read them again. The realization of what she had done, how she had treated him all those years ago, crashed over her like a tidal wave. The woman stepped out of the restaurant, the rain pelting her face as she walked down the deserted street. The city, once a place of power and comfort, now felt cold and distant. She walked aimlessly, the note crumpled in her hand, her mind racing. How could she have been so blind? She reached for her phone again, dialing the number she had seen on the app, but it went straight to voicemail. He had disappeared from her life as quickly as he had entered it. The man she had rented, the man who had become everything she had. Once wanted, was gone, and now it was too late. The wind howled, her hair whipping around her face, but she didn't care. The city felt like a cage now. The life she had built, the mask she had worn, none of it mattered. She had lost something real, something that could have changed everything. The tears came slowly at first, but they built up, and soon she was standing there in the middle of the street, soaked to the bone, her heart aching with the weight of her choices. She wanted to apologize, wanted to go back in time and undo the mistakes she had made. But the truth was, she couldn't. He was gone, and she had no one but herself to blame. The camera pulled back to reveal the woman standing on the rooftop of a high-rise building, her silhouette outlined against the stormy sky. The city stretched out before her, its lights twinkling like stars in the distance. But for the first time, the view didn't feel beautiful. It felt empty. The woman's shoulders were hunched, her arms wrapped around herself as she stood there, lost in thought. Her phone buzzed again, and she glanced at it. There was no message, no answer from him. The car that had brought him to her that night was nowhere to be seen. She closed her eyes. letting the rain wash over her, the coldness seeping into her bones. In her mind, she replayed every moment, every mistake, every fleeting opportunity she had let slip through her fingers, and then, as the rain fell harder, the camera zoomed out, capturing her in the vast, empty space. There were no more chances. The man she had once rejected had moved on, and she was left standing in the rain, alone. The camera cut to the empty streets below, and the sound of the city continued. Indifferent to the story unfolding high above, the screen fades to black and the credits roll.